A Story You Should Know, Tim Virgilio and Signatures for Soldiers. Hey there. My guest on this episode is a man named Tim Virgilio. Let me tell you about him. In 2014, November of 2014, he decided to combine his hobby of autograph collecting with his passion for supporting an organization called Military Missions in Action, MMIA. His original goal was to raise $500. When you listen to this interview here, you won't believe how much more than $500 he's actually raised past his original goal. It's a great story. Whether you're into sports cards, in the industry, or not in the industry, it doesn't matter. This is a great story and something really inspirational. I just found out about it recently, and that's why I wanted to have Tim on the podcast. I know many already in the industry of sports memorabilia know Tim. He's been around for a while now. But for people like me, I never had known of his organization, Signatures for Soldiers. And if you don't know about him, this is a great time to learn. Tim,
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for joining me here. And I'd love if you could maybe just start off and tell us a little bit about Signatures for Soldiers and, what it is, what it does, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So Signatures for Soldiers started off in November of 2014 when I began reaching out to various players, asking them if they would be willing to sign some cards for me to sell. And 100% of the money was going to a charity called Military Missions in Action. They're a 501c3. They do home repairs and home remodels for disabled military veterans, as well as supporting homeless veterans and sending about 9,000 care packages overseas to deployed military. So that's how it started. My original goal was to raise $500. I'm now coming up on 7 years of doing this. And Signatures for Soldiers has evolved. It continues to sell autographed cards and as well as a lot of other autographed items, all different sports. And 100% of the money still goes to Military Missions in Action. And to date, we've raised over $106,000.
So your initial goal was $500.
Yes.
and you've done very well. I'll say that. great job.
Yeah. I've just barely made that goal. So
good job. Yeah. Now, now I'm one of those guys who I've been collecting for 30 years or so, but I was tuned out for a while until like earlier this year. So would you say that the boom, as they call it, over the last year and a half, 2 years, has that caused a big increase in donations and support along with everything else?
No, not so much for me. I mean, it just continues to be a steady progress of raising money and building an audience, if you will, building a community. Because it is a little bit more niche of just autographs and not necessarily cards and slabbed cards and things like that. I think that's where the boom has kind of gone is, opening new product and, slabbing cards and buying, graded 10 cards. So, I don't have a whole lot of that. It's really just autographs. So I still do a lot with people that are just, collecting purely as a hobby, whether they're collecting players or teams or trying to build particular signed sets. So that's really kind of where it's been. But, the support just continues to grow day by day and week by week. And, my original goal of $500, I can easily raise that in a week's time. So it's pretty amazing.
It is. Yeah. I mean, that when I kind of got connected to you through Twitter, one of the things that it really stood out because, when you follow a lot of sports collectibles, sports card stuff on Twitter, most of it is just people showing off, it's like,
Right.
Showing off their cards. And I get it. That's obviously part of it. I've done some of that myself, but when you come across, an organization that's trying to help other people, I was like, wow, you don't see that a lot. I mean, for me, maybe you know differently, but there probably aren't a ton of charitable organizations in the sports collectibles industry, are there?
No, not really. I mean, I know of a couple other people who do, something kind of similar. There's one guy who basically takes donations of just about any types of cards and donates them to various children's charities, children's homes, children's charities, children's hospitals, so that kids can open cards and that type of thing. But otherwise, there really isn't a whole lot. For me, this was a charity that my wife and I have been involved with literally since day one. And we've seen them grow and do a lot of great things. So when we moved out of North Carolina, I just wanted a way to continue to help support them. And, what nonprofit doesn't need money? so,
Absolutely.
so I just took my hobby of collecting autographs and trying to help raise money. So it's been a lot of fun. I've really met a lot of great people in the hobby, and the players have been absolutely fantastic. So it's been a lot, like I said, it's been a lot of fun.
And like me, I read the article on Forbes, which was awesome. I'm going to share a link to that when we post this episode in the notes and everywhere it goes. Great article. One of the things that stood out to me too was it said in there how, like many of us, your dad got you into sports and sports collecting.
Right.
And he was a big fan of the Yankees in those days, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, and that kind of translated over to you. Like same story with me, with my dad. I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, and my friends were looking for Ken Griffey Jr. cards and, Frank Thomas, Jose Canseco. I was more interested in seeing if I could, buy some of those sets that still produce like Mickey Mantle cards,
Right.
and seeing if I could get those, which my friends were like, what are you doing? But for me, it just kind of came through my dad, and I was more interested in those guys, that era, than the era I was in.
Yeah. Myself personally, I'd probably consider myself more of a vintage collector. Kind of always have been, always have enjoyed kind of that era, that bygone era. I remember when I was probably, I don't know, 14, 15 years old, and my dad takes me to Cooperstown, and at the time they had a exhibit of, baseball cards from the beginning to present type thing. And he and I are standing in like the 50s and 60s cards, and my dad's like, had it. And I'm like, Dad, you're killing me. So, so for me, I've always enjoyed the vintage stuff, but, the modern stuff is really just the technology and the clarity and the pictures has just been fantastic.
Right. So when you get autograph cards, do you see more of the modern stuff coming through?
It's really kind of a mix. I have, players that played in the 60s and 70s who sign, players in the 80s, 90s, up through present day. There's a couple players who are currently active in the major leagues who have been really great supporters and have signed cards for me. So it's really a mixture, throughout the decades.
I saw a Fred Lynn. I think it was it a jersey that recently on your Twitter feed,
Yes.
being from Massachusetts, Red Sox fan. I love Fred Lynn. So that was cool to see. Is that still up for auction?
It is actually. So this year, for the 41st annual National Sports Collectors Convention in Chicago, Signatures for Soldiers and Military Missions in Action has been named the charity partner. And as part of that, the National is putting on an auction powered by Handbid, which is an app that you can download. And right now we probably have about, 40 or so items listed that you can currently bid on. Bidding will close July 31st. We're planning to add a lot more as we get closer to the National. And 100% of the money raised through that auction is going to go directly to military missions in action. So I'm pretty excited about that. And like you said, the Fred Lynn jersey is one of one of probably about 40 items that are currently up there. Tops donated several boxes of unopened product that we have up for auction as well. A lot of other different autographed items as well, from jerseys to balls to pucks to photos. Probably going to be putting up some cards here soon. So a lot of different things.
I was going to mention, yeah, the national, that must be exciting coming up here, Chicago. You're going to be the head, the head sponsor for charity. I mean, do you have like a big setup, like a big booth, or how can people find you when they go there?
Sure. Yeah. So let's see, 3 years ago was the first year that I was able to set up at the National, thanks to a lot of really generous people who donated space and helped get me there. And then 2 years ago, we were set up in Chicago, and this year we'll be set up again. So we'll have our booth set up where I'll have all of kind of my inventory, if you will, for sale. And then we will also then have another booth set up with all the auction items. So basically, I'm going to be putting up on social media where exactly you can find us. So we're going to be set up near the TriStar Autograph Pavilion. So basically, if you come in the main entrance of the National, you go down the stairs, the first aisle that you can make a right, you make a right there, and then there'll be a ramp on your right-hand side. Make a right up the ramp, and then we'll be on the left-hand side immediately, right up the ramp. So we're in a really good spot. Excited about it. I'm really grateful to the organizers of the National, to Rip and Wax, who helps donate the space, and there's just been so many people that have helped us get there. It's to say it's exciting is an understatement. I don't think I could have ever dreamt being in this type of a position.
From everything I'm hearing, I've never been to a National. I'm hoping next year will be my first one. Yep. But from everything I've heard and listened to, this is going to be an all-timer, right, this year. So
yeah, this is I think this is the earliest that they've sold out of the VIP ticket packages, and I saw today that they're opening up a limited number of early entry 5-day passes because of just the demand. So yeah, they're expecting huge numbers, so it'll be pretty exciting.
Now, do you plan, other than the National, I know there's other one, there's a big one in Vegas, right? I believe later in the year. Do you go to many of these, or?
No, it's pretty much just run it out of my house.
Nice.
And yeah, and the National being the National, when I had the opportunity and the invite to go, I couldn't turn that down. So really the National has been the only one that I go to. I think that people don't realize that this is my volunteer work. I literally make zero money off of this. So, right. So anytime I do a show like this, I do have to take time off of work. So I can only take so much time off of work and still get paid. So, I mean, the show coming up in Vegas sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And, then there's other shows throughout the country, more localized shows and that are pretty big as well. So perhaps one year I'll make my rounds, but right now I'm just going to stick with the National.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one you're going to do, that's the one. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, so like for someone like me, let's say I don't have any autographed cards that I would donate right now. Let's say I just wanted to make a cash donation? Is there do you have an easy link or a place people could go where they can donate money, or is it do you only work with like product?
No. So if somebody wants to make donations, monetary donations, those monetary donations I ask go directly to Military Missions in Action. Okay. You can go to their website, militarymissionsinAction.org. And there's a link on their page to make the donation directly to them, or you can email me at signaturesforsoldiers, all spelled out, at yahoo.com. And I can provide you the link. Again, this is the goal is to raise money for the charity. As far as other ways to donate, as far as product, I'm always accepting unsigned cards of various sports just because I never know uh, who's going to be the next player that's willing to sign for me. So it's nice to have kind of an inventory on hand. Um,
That's a great point. I was going to
yeah,
ask that. So even if
yeah.
it's not signed, you would want it because there's a chance you could get that signed at some point.
Yeah, potentially, so yeah, so and then if there's cards that I can't use, what I'll do is I'll try to turn around and sell them, and then whatever money I make off of that will then go into offsetting my costs for supplies that I need, everything from envelopes to stamps to tape to
Right.
other things like that. So so those are really kind of the main ways that folks really support what I do. Otherwise, the big ask that I have of folks is just really continuing to share via social media what I'm doing, and just continuing to spread the word. It's pretty neat to kind of see new folks come on board and kind of talk about how they found out about what I'm doing and just wanting to help support in different ways.
And like I said, it's a breath of fresh air, honestly, Tim, to really see something like this, where not that it's bad to look at cards all day on your feed and see all the cool stuff other people have and are making money, but it's also really nice to see someone who's trying to help others. So that's fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, right now, June and July have been kind of slow with me posting stuff for sale just because I've been focused on packing everything up and getting it ready for the end of the month. But, once we come back from Chicago and I'm able to kind of exhale in August, I'll kind of ramp it back up and, be posting different items for sale on social media. And the thing is I try to keep it pretty affordable. So it's the $106,000 that we've raised at this point has not been 106 $1,000 purchases. It's literally been $2 here, $3 there, $5 here, $4 there, that type of thing, and it adds up really quickly.
So that really anybody could participate at that level, anyone. So that's I like that.
Yeah. And like I said, I try to keep it affordable, and I will obviously price things according to, what's kind of fair market value, if you will. Willing to negotiate to a point, sometimes I have to remind folks, hey, remember 100% of the money's going to the charity,
Right.
So, so if somebody's like, hey, I want to buy, $60 worth of stuff, would you take 50? Okay, I might do something like that, but so it's also just trying to keep in mind that it is for charity. I don't keep anything. When people make the payment goes directly to military missions in action, whether it's via PayPal, via their link, or via check. So I literally don't keep any of it.
But yeah, Tim, I just wanted to again thank you for jumping on here. I wish you all the best of luck at the National, and I hope you take some great pictures and some video that you put up on Twitter, so I can live vicariously through you this year.
Yeah, I'll have to remember to do that. I've been, the 2 years that I was at the National, I just got so busy I forgot to do that. So I will definitely have to do that this year.
I think a lot of people, when they see something like this, it's just so rare in this industry right now that I think it's gonna be awesome. So I'm really excited for you, and again, looking forward to seeing the pictures and stuff on Twitter. And do you plan on going to the National like every year now, basically?
As long as they'll have me, yeah.
Because next year is it in New Jersey again next year?
It is, yeah, yeah. So I think it was supposed to be in Cleveland, but because the convention center that they have it at has shut down, they announced that it'll be in Atlantic City. So,
well, that's perfect for me. So,
yeah. I mean,
great, yeah.
As long as I'm invited to come back, I'll definitely make a point to continue to be there in some capacity. So it's a lot of fun. The first time I went, it's completely overwhelming. So,
yeah.
So I just tell people, first day, just walk around and take it in. It's a lot to take in. There's a lot going on, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, I hope to meet you there and see you there in person maybe next year.
All right. Hey, I really appreciate the time, and thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right, so you heard the man. One of the easiest ways you can help support Tim and his organization is following on social media. Go to Twitter, type in Signatures for Soldiers, give them a follow, or any of those other sites. And if you have product that's signed that you'd love to donate, reach out. If you have stuff that isn't signed, Tim mentioned that he takes unsigned things as well with the hope that he may be able to get those signed in the future. So however you can help support, please do. I think it's a great cause, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks a lot.